Welcome to a live book reading. Today is Tuesday, September, what is it, the 9th? I don't even know. I am trying to figure out this YouTube live stuff. So I wanted to be horizontal, but it's going to be vertical today. Who cares? Okay. My name is Doe, and I'm the author of the Happiness in Your Life book series. I've got with me some of the books today that I would like to read for you. And if you're joining in, feel free to comment if you'd like me to read from a specific book. If not, then I'm just going to read a little from each of the books. And that's about it. So the Happiness in Your Life book series is 12 books. And right now, 5 of them are available. 7 of them are still upcoming. I started writing them. I put out Karma, the first book, in 2012. And I've been posting and writing and doing a lot on social media and videos and articles, all kinds of stuff since 2011. Started with a near-death experience back in 1998. I have another video already on here that I tell all about that. So welcome, and thank you for being here. The first book I'm going to read from is Karma. I apologize for the weird angle. I mean, horizontal, it looked perfect, but it didn't want to start in horizontal, and I couldn't figure it out. So we'll start with Karma. Karma has 12 laws, and in the book, I go over each of the 12 laws and how they relate to today's world and today's life, because they were written sometime around 4,000 years ago, and it was from ancient Sanskrit. So the world's changed a little bit since then, and you'll see that karma is something that's very important to understand, because a lot of times people that think they're being good people and doing good things don't seem to have good things come in return to them, and so they don't believe in karma. But it's just, that's not how it works. Karma is not reward and punishment. It's actually just understanding. So you'll have an intention, and then an action, and then a consequence. Now, if your intentions are great and pure and good, but your consequence or your outcome is not so good, then it probably means there's something wrong with the action or the method. And that's the only thing you're going to have to change. All right, let's see here. Let's start reading. Hello. How are you? Nice to have you here. It's just me and you right now, and I love that. All right. Our world is just a reflection of all of our beliefs about ourselves, others, how things work. We're only given one perspective in this life, and that is our own. There are over 8 billion people on this earth, and if you asked each one to write down their thoughts about people, circumstances, health, and themselves, hi everyone, you'd get 8 billion different answers. To each person, this would be a true reflection of how the world really is, and they would not completely agree with anyone else. Your world can be a heaven or hell, depending on how you view yourself, people, and events. A homeless person with a cat for a best friend may actually be happier than one of the wealthiest people in the world who has thousands of acquaintances. While we cannot enter the minds of anyone else on this planet, we can decide to look at our own lives and be grateful for everything that is good in them. What book am I reading? Well, I'm reading Karma. It's going to be flipped so that I can read your comments, but this is Karma. It's the first of the Happiness in Your Life book series. And there should be links at the bottom for all the books, but I've written so far 5 out of the 12 books in the series, and they were going to be once a year, but now it's 14 years since I wrote the first one, and they're not all out yet. Life gave me some more stuff to write about. There you go. All right. So if you'd like me to read something for you from any of the books, I'm going to hold up each of the books throughout the video. And if you'd like me to read anything for you, please feel free to comment. And then at the end, we have a book that has a message just for you for today. So yeah, that's a little bit from Karma. And now I'm going to move over to Intuition, which is book 2. And I'll read a little bit from this. And just a quick overview before I do that. The first book is Karma. The second one is Intuition. Third one is Forgiveness. The fourth one is Trust. And the last one is appreciation. They do go in order, but you don't have to read them all if you're not, a huge reader or anything. So karma is kind of the overview of how everything works, like the choices, thoughts, or intentions. And then the second part is the method or actions, and then you'll have your outcomes or your consequences. Now, consequences people tend to think of as bad, but they're good or bad, or a mix of the two, usually a mix of the two. So I'm going to really read a little bit from intuition. Now, intuition is a sense, just like all of your other senses. And if you were taught at a young age to learn the way your intuition works, what it's telling you, then you'd be far ahead of the game, because most people weren't taught that. Most people were just taught all of our other senses, the sight, smell, touch, taste. And so we know what the external world is telling us, and we know what our internal world is reflecting back. What I mean by that, say with taste, something you could taste like a grape, and that's what the external world is telling you. Whether you like the grape or not, whether you want a grape or not, is coming from you. So with intuition, if we're not using this sense, we're going to have information come from the outside. We're going to have information come from the inside, but we're not going to know how to interpret it. This is why it's very important to learn about your intuition, because it's like having the sense of hearing and just keep your ears plugged your entire life. It's like, there's something else. I'm missing something else. It's just more information to help you navigate through the world. So I'm going to flip to here. And again, if you would like me to read from any book, you can just call out any page number. Call out. Probably won't hear that. You can comment. Hi, Web Gang Podcast. Thank you for being here. And Dr. Mushtaq. And I missed one name. I apologize. You can call out any page number or comment any page number between 1 and around 120 and just the book title. And I'd love to read something for you. All right. So this, what I just opened to, is about different types of intuition. There are different types. So one of them, let's see, connection intuition. This is number 4. I'm just kind of jumping in wherever we are. Intuition about a person can be felt via connection. When meeting new people, people often glance quickly and shake hands, but are paying more attention to remembering the person's name or aren't really paying much attention at all. Even with this, people often feel a sense of that they have a good feeling about the person or a gut feeling that something just isn't right. Just in that instant, just in that split-second moment. It's so subtle that they can't pin it to any word, look, or action the person showed, but rather to a feeling they had inside. If there is something extra intriguing about a person that makes you both want to talk more or see one another again, you both have a lesson to learn from each other, and you both have a lesson to teach each other. The brain may be clouding this type of intuition, so make sure you take time and use calm logic before thinking everyone you meet is your soulmate. It could be that this person looks like someone else you know, the person sounds like someone else you know, the person is in an unusually good or bad mood the first time you meet them, and you may be picking up subconsciously the energy of that day, not their normal energy. Again, that's why it's important to pay attention to your feelings, but allow some more time to gather a few more feelings and process them before determining yay or nay. Even with scent, if you're not sure what a scent is, you just keep on sniffing it and put your attention to your mind and try to then process or figure out what it is, where you smelled it before, or what it smells like. With a few musical notes of a familiar tune, if you don't recognize it right away, even just hearing those few notes a few more times may pull up from your memory the rest of that song and the name of the song, along with where you were in life when you first listened to it. So that's just that's one type of intuition. There's also, number 5 is clairaudience. Number 2 is wrong turn intuition. Number 3 is inner spark intuition. Number 1 is inner weight intuition. So there's a lot more about just intuition besides the word and just, it's a gut feeling or believing in it or not. There's so much more about it that once you have the information, you can use it better. And when you use it better, you're going to use it, all day, every day, just the way you use all your other senses. And there's a part in here about, imagine if you had your eyes closed your whole life and then all of a sudden you open them, like it would be so overwhelming. So when you first actually start training it and start using it, it might seem overwhelming. Like, how do I sort through all these feelings? But in here too, is that's when you do a little meditation to calm your mind and to center and to only pay attention to what's happening right now in front of you. So there's so much to it. And I would love for you to discover your own intuition. Book 3 is forgiveness. Forgiveness is the clearing of the slate. All forgiveness means is ceasing to feel or hold resentment and anger from within towards a person or event from the past. It doesn't mean amnesia. It doesn't mean you think someone's great. It doesn't mean you have to do it. It just means that any anger or resentment, pain from the past that you have inside of you, that you release. So you no longer have to carry it in your present or future. It is a process. It takes time, but it makes life so much better. There's like a false forgiveness, which is that amnesia or just like pretending everything's okay and supposedly that makes you a good person. That is not forgiveness. That has never been forgiveness. It's been sold to people as forgiveness, and I have a couple theories why, but that's not good for you. Don't do that. If you can't trust someone, like forgiveness is only about the past. Only. So if you totally forgive someone and they're standing in front of you, in the present, if they have shattered your trust in the past, in the present, you still shouldn't trust them. They've done nothing to unshatter that. And in the future, should they be in your life or not, you've only released yourself from the pain of the past. You haven't, rebuilt the broken trust. You haven't, they haven't at that point made any amends for what they've done. They haven't even said if they want to make amends or not. So the present and future, if someone is to be in your life or not, that depends on trust, not forgiveness. Forgiveness is only for yourself, and it releases you from carrying around all that pain for the rest of your life. It's heavy. It hurts, and it's going to spill over into your present and future if you let it. That's why it's so important. So let's have a little here. Okay, I just opened to page 59, so we're going to read from there. Forgiving means not staying angry forever or holding a grudge about what has already happened. It doesn't mean trusting that they won't do the same thing again or that things will be the exact same as they were before. If a person is to stay in your life, even after forgiveness, changes, boundaries, and amends may have to take place before trust can be rebuilt. People may want to skip out on the consequence of having to work and be patient to rebuild trust, but that's not possible, nor should you feel like you're an unforgiving person because you can't just pretend it's all fine. If someone deliberately drives your car into a lake, just because they say they are sorry and you forgive them, it doesn't mean the car is fixed, nor does it mean that they are absolved of the responsibility of fixing it just because you've forgiven them. Many people don't know this. They expect that a sorry and a show of remorse is their job done, and then try to blame you if you treat them differently or question things that you didn't question before. So that's a little part. And that's the next part that goes into is the rules of forgiveness to make it work. I'll just read the headings of those for you. Like number 1 is no cherry picking. Oh, that is actually a good one. So I'm going to read it for you, the whole thing. Okay, throughout the whole experience, everything happened exactly the way it did. Looking back now, you may think, oh, I should have left there or there or there. But here's the thing. Without necessarily giving them credit for anything, it will help a lot if you can pick out and feel gratitude for things that happened within that time period, like the dog you adopted or the child or children you had with them. Feeling that love and gratitude for these beings that had no other way of existing in your world besides the exact way everything happened will allow you to forgive at least up until the time they came into your existence. Okay, sorry, my nose is itching tonight. So that is no cherry picking. Like people go, oh, if I'd only done this. Well, that would only be one thing, and if you'd never met them, you wouldn't have been here or there or met that friend or gone to those places, and you wouldn't be here now with this wisdom you have. So accepting is one of the steps of how to actually do forgiveness. I go through all the steps of how to forgive in here. But the acceptance of everything happened the way it did, and it can never be changed. That's so important because that sets it in concrete, the events themselves. The story you wrap around the events is a different thing. The story that you tell yourself, depending on what you believe about yourself, and that can change, is what you're going to take away from it and move on with. So if you say, they ruined my life, if that's going to be your story, any good things that come into your life, present and future, any good people that come into your life, present and future, if they are not also going to ruin your life, you're going to push them away. Because your story is that that person from the past ruined your whole life. So if you can set it down and you say, like, that was awful. It was absolutely terrible, but it's over now. Thank goodness. And I can move on and I can heal. Then you're setting it down. That's all that forgiveness is, remember? So then if someone good comes into your life today, you can say, oh, hello, that's wonderful. And then with the no cherry picking, you can say, if I hadn't been through all of those experiences the exact way they went, I wouldn't have been here and now with this extra appreciation for good people that I have to meet this good person and have them come into my life and be able to appreciate them even more. So that's why, forgiveness allows you the freedom to love and trust and be your best self again, or maybe even better than you were before. If you've encountered a really terrible person, what happens is you can become bitter, or you can become more appreciative. So if you become bitter, then you say, that person's terrible. Maybe all people are terrible. I'm never going to trust again. Or you say, wow, that was a really damaged, terrible person. And I hope that they do well in their life and don't hurt anyone else, but I'm glad they're out of mine. And then you'll be able to move on. And if you meet someone that's even kind of good, you're like, wow, you're great. Because, you now have a greater sense of appreciation for things that you may have just taken for granted before. You may have thought all people are pretty good. And that person showed you, no, they're not. So that is forgiveness, book 3. And next we're going to move on to trust, which is book 4. Now, forgiveness is about the past, setting it down, and then being able to move on and heal. So the next thing you want to do is make sure that that same junk doesn't happen again. That's where trust comes in. Now, a lot of times if you've been involved, you were trusting, open, loving, you did all the right things, but you encountered someone who was none of those things. That can create a break in trust. Well, for them, for sure. It can happen then. If you say, like, oh, I'm never going to trust anyone again, you're actually saying, I don't trust myself to know when I should trust other people. And that may seem valid because you trusted someone who turned out in hindsight you shouldn't have. But that's not your fault. I mean, everything looks the same the first few layers, whether someone's just play acting or they actually are a trustworthy person, it's going to look the same. So the only thing that you can actually do is when it changes, be aware and be honest with yourself about those changes. And that way you don't start making excuses or filtering things out or trying to see the good that's just not there. So rebuilding trust in yourself is just as important as being able to trust other people. And what things that you learned from a relationship or relationships or business partnerships, things that you learned become your wisdom. And that is going to protect you from having the same thing happen again in the future. Not just not trusting anyone. If you just don't trust anyone, well, that's going to be terrible. It's going to be a very fear-filled and lonely life. All right. Let's read from here. How to build and maintain trust. From day one of a new connection, you are in the process of building trust. They may fully trust you with a clean slate, as it should be, or they may have some residual trust issues that will prevent that. You may have the same. You can't really determine or control where a person is in their openness, but you can control how you act and what you say. Building and maintaining trust requires 3 things: honesty, consistency, and clarity. Honesty is number 1. If someone is repeatedly dishonest, you eventually won't trust a single thing they say. If you're honest in big things, little things, easy things, hard things, people will learn to value your word, even if it isn't always what they wanted to hear. Number 2 is consistency. That means you can take someone at their word. Maybe not every single time, but most of the time. Inconsistency may not be a case of outright lying, but of indecision or being easily persuaded. This can look like the same thing as lying from the outside. It is very difficult to determine when you cannot trust someone like this, because when you speak with them, they seem so genuine in that moment. And they are in that moment. But then they are just as genuine when someone else says something and they change to that opinion just as fast. People pleasers can often do this because they are fearful of disagreeing with anyone in any type of conflict. They will then inadvertently triangulate people, and then they will think they are the victim in the scenario they created because they were just trying to make everyone happy. That's a real important thing. There's, someone may not necessarily be lying, and that's why, it's kind of reiterating, but that's why they seem so believable in that moment. Now, if it's a person that you know is so easily persuaded, you may be able to recognize this. And then it's not a case of like, in that moment when they're saying something to you, it is a truth in that moment. But if you know them and know that they'll be just as easily persuaded by someone else in the next moment, you'll know that you just can't trust their word. And if you are a person who's easily persuaded, then you have to know that, then you have to know that people aren't going to trust your word if you change it every time they're out of sight and someone new is in sight, and you don't give them an update, or you don't stay firm, you don't make your own decisions. So it's very important, because if you can't trust someone at their word, or if you can't be trusted at your word, there's going to be a whole lot of drama for really no reason. So that is trust, book 4. Next up, we have appreciation. This is the good stuff. So karma is like the overview. Intuition is learning your own language from within. That's what it is, intuition. And then forgiveness is clearing the slate, clear out the past. Trust is making sure that the present and future don't have repeats of the past. Appreciation is where you start to really grow and value and increase the value of things in your present life. Now, appreciation is kind of like if you had a garden, and forgiveness is picking out all the weeds. I mean, not that all weeds are bad. Some of them are kind of pretty, but the weeds that you don't want there. Or maybe garbage that's in your garden. So it's taking out all the garbage, clearing all the land. So then all you have is a bunch of dirt, right? Who wants that? That's why a lot of times when people have, say they had a really terrible job for a long time, and they finally get out of it, and they feel like I've let it all go. I'm not going to even think about it anymore. And they don't feel good. They just feel apathetic because they haven't actually shifted their focus to their present life and started adding good things and appreciating them in their present life. They're just done with the past. But all that leaves you is, sitting in a pile of clean dirt. So appreciation is where we start planting flowers and herbs and whatever kind of plant that you want to plant. Trees. Start planting all the good things and nourishing them and putting your attention on them present and thinking about how they're going to be in the future. And it's where your attention isn't even on the past anymore. It's gone. There you go. Appreciation. Let's see here. Well, this just opened an interesting page. So when you like yourself, truly like yourself, you become grounded in who you are. You know that putting on a nice person show is exhausting, fruitless, and fake. You'll evaluate new people based on if you get along well, not on if you can be accepted by them if you're on your best behavior. If they don't like you as you are, well, good grief, better to find out sooner rather than later. When you really like yourself, you don't want to be around someone who doesn't care for you. What do you like talking about? What are you interested in? Maybe some things may seem weird to some people, but that doesn't mean you're weird in a bad way or that you should change. It just means that you won't be able to have those fun conversations with them. Relationships mean literally 2 or more people who relate to each other. Similar interests, values, goals, and an understanding of each other. The constriction felt when you don't feel like you can be yourself and let your guard down may be something very familiar to you. You may not have realized things could be any different. If you feel drained after being with people, it could be this, or it could be that you're just kind of introverted. If you feel like nobody understands you, that's a very lonely feeling. But if you've been kind of concealing who you are, then how would anyone in your current circle really know you? So there's another little thing about that, about the nice person show. When we're little, pretty much all of us, at one point, our parents are saying, say we're going to church, we're going to, Aunt Betty's house, or we're going somewhere, going to a restaurant. What do your parents say? They say, be on your best behavior. Sit up straight, be quiet, smile, say please and thank you. Like that was your job. So your programming, when you're 7 years or younger, you're just a sponge. And your programming is everything that you were told about yourself compared to other people, relating to other people in the world, your place in the world, that was all imprinted or programmed on you as a child. And when you get older, that just becomes your subconscious, your inner voice. So with most of us, I mean, it's good intentions. If you're going to Aunt Betty's, you should behave and say thank you if she, offers you some biscuits and gravy or whatever it is. But if that becomes, say you went to a lot of places and you were always told, be on your best behavior so people like you, be on your best behavior, otherwise people could think you're a bad child or a bad person. Did you accidentally absorb to never actually be yourself? Did you accidentally absorb to always be on your best behavior? Like sit up straight, smile, say thank you, agree to everything, be polite. That's not going to cut it if you want to have any kind of relationship that's even a hair below the surface, because you have to be able to be yourself. So say that it's in a job interview and you have this ingrained in you that you have to be on your best behavior. So you study the company and you study what the job entails and you kind of rehearse what you think that they'd want to hear so that you can land the job by winning over the interview. So then when you have the interview and the interview asks the questions and you're saying all the answers right and they go, well, that's great, you're hired. But you actually didn't believe those things. You actually don't want those things, but you weren't even aware of it or focused on it. You were just focused on saying the things that would make them agree with you and hire you. A better way to go about things, especially with somewhere where you're going to be spending a good portion of your life, like relationships or friendships or a job, is to have a look at and say, sometimes what's the expression? Beggars can't be choosers. Like sometimes you have to take a job, not because you love it, but because you need money, and that you just do the best you can while you're there and move on when you don't have to be there anymore. But if it's something that you plan on having, say as a career, you would want to study the company, their values. Are they in line with yours? Is the amount that they want to pay a person, is that what you believe that you're worth? The job description, does it sound like something that you would add value to? And does the company, you have to look at like, are you going to add value to this company? Is the company going to add value to you? And if something's out of alignment to a point that you can see it right off the bat, then you probably wouldn't even want to go in the interview. You probably wouldn't want the job because you're not going to be happy in there day one. So like winning the job interview and, getting the job, it might not be actually winning, because that then puts you on a little path that you knew from the beginning wasn't right for you, but maybe you weren't aware that that's a bad thing because of that programming that you had as a child. Now, when you go on a date, a lot of people, if someone has a good energy and they seem real interesting and fun, they want to go, oh yeah, me too. Oh yeah, I love that. That's great. Oh yeah, I don't like that either. But they're just kind of bouncing off or mirroring the person. And if that person is being honest about what they like and don't like, and you're just agreeing with everything they say, that person's like, oh yeah, that's great, we're so compatible. But then if later it comes out that, say a few months down the line, they go, oh, do you want to go bowling this weekend? You go, no. But you said you love bowling. I don't like bowling. You said on our first date, I said I love bowling, and you said you did too. And I'm like, oh, I don't remember that. Like in that moment, that person's reality and their trust will be shattered because they were sharing what they liked and they wanted to learn if you like it too. And because you said you did, that set up, a certain thing of trust. If you said at that moment, no, I really don't like it, or I've never done it, that's different. And they might not have been like, well, you don't like bowling? Check, please, I'm out of here. They might have still liked you, but they would know that you didn't like bowling. So you got to just be honest, within every parameter in the beginning, if you want to set a good, solid foundation of trust and be able to have genuine appreciation for that person and for yourself, or for that company and for yourself. All right, so those are all the series books. And bye, monkey. And now I'm going to share with you a little bit from, this is Improve Your Life in 80 Days. If you're not a major reader, but you're kind of at a place in your life right now where, say, you've just been through a whole bunch of stuff, or maybe you're just graduating from a certain chapter or level in your life, and you're kind of not sure where to go, this is a really good one. I wrote this at a time when I had just gone through a whole bunch of really hard stuff, and I was basically in survival mode. It was about a little over a year of just back-to-back really difficult things. So I needed to get back to myself. So I went out back on my patio, and every day for 83 days, I wrote 1 page, and I had that just be the thing I'm going to focus on today. And doing that, like, just to recenter and get back to myself. And after a couple weeks, I went out every single day, and I wrote, and I actually posted it to Facebook. But I went every single day. And for the first couple of weeks, I was still in survival mode. I was still highly reactive to stuff, and it wasn't really happening yet. But after a few more weeks, I started to feel like myself again. And after the 83 days, things were good. Not perfect, but I was able to be myself and handle them like I used to again. So I'm going to just pick a page here. You may be able to see kind of what I'm talking about. Okay, so this is day 11. Today, stretch. Stretch your body, arms, legs, full body, even your fingers and toes. Stretch your mind. Watch a documentary or a how-to video and learn something new, even if you never use it. Stretch your heart. Pause as you encounter everyone who you love who is in your life today. Pause and consciously think of how much you love and appreciate them. This includes pets, and this includes you. This is life, the good stuff. We learn, we grow, we love. So that's day 11. See, that's the only thing you have to do. Just, put the focus on stretching. You could also get a blank journal and write down some notes. Like if you had some thoughts or some things you want to do, or maybe if you want to do some more things when you had a little more time, then you could write some notes in a journal. And there's different things too. But it's basically looking at different facets of your life, who you are in the world, and really getting back into, or maybe for the first time, getting into a place where you feel real centered and real certain of your surroundings. You've reappreciated things that maybe you forgot about for a while. You're more certain about where you want to go, and a genuine positive and optimistic outlook. And this will help you achieve that. So that's Improve Your Life in 80 Days. Next up, we have the beginning. This was the beginning of book 6. Book 6 is Love. And I started writing it a couple of years ago, actually. I need to finish it. But I started writing it, and the first chapter of it was How to Love Yourself. Well, that chapter started getting bigger and bigger. The books are only about 120 pages each. So when the chapter got to be about 100 pages, I was like, well, maybe this is going to be a bit much. So I ended up changing it and turning it into a full color workbook called the How to Love Yourself workbook. You're still going to have the love book with a shorter chapter on how to love yourself, but most people were never taught to love themselves. They were taught that, that person must really love themselves. Like it was a bad thing. Like it meant they're conceited. That's not self-love at all. When you love yourself, you are able to make the best decisions for yourself. You are encouraging of yourself. You are able to celebrate your wins, and you don't let your losses consume you. You're more resilient. You can be a better person to other people. If someone else likes you or loves you, you're not going to be like, what the heck's wrong with them? You're going to know why. And then if someone else pretends to like or love you and then decides they don't, it's not going to be the end of you, because you didn't get only love from them. So you're not going to lose it if they actually don't have it. You still have it within yourself. So I'll read a little bit from here. And loving yourself, this is the first part here. The path forward is, thank you. You've learned a lot about gratitude and humbleness. Yeah, definitely. And gratitude and being humble, like I think that being humble has usually meant to diminish something, to say like, oh, it's not that good, or oh, it's not that great. And that's actually the opposite of gratitude. Like if you were given a skill or a talent, to say, like it used to say, oh, if you're humble, then it's almost like you have to be self-deprecating and say like, oh, I'm not that good at that. But that's an ingratitude for a talent or a skill, a talent that you've just been given, or a skill that you've worked really hard to develop. So I kind of look at it like, if you worked really hard and you bought a house or you bought a car, and someone said, oh, is that your car? You say, yeah, don't you love it? I love it. Like you should have that same thing about some skill you have. Say you're a painter, or you're really good at fixing things, or something else that, you've worked really hard to become really good at. You should be able to have that same sort of feeling. If someone says, wow, you did a really great job, or wow, that's gorgeous, you should be able to say, thank you so much. I worked really hard on it, and I'm really proud of how it turned out. Like, doesn't that feel so much better than being like, oh, it's garbage? I never understood that, you know? All right, so the path forward of how to love yourself is learning to love yourself with care. That's an acronym. It's compassion, appreciation, respect, and encouragement. And let's see if we flip to a page and there's something here. Well, this is one of the sections, and this is a letter to yourself. And this letter is letter number 2, and it's a letter to yourself in the present. So if you want to do this, I'll just share the exercise here. And if you want to write a letter to yourself, hey, you got a free page from the book. No, it's, who would have thought to do that? You write letters to other people, especially people you love, you want to keep in touch with, you want to share about your life. But have you ever written a letter to yourself? Maybe. All right. Of the 3, this one is actually the most important. The past has no power except for the power you give to it in the present. The future has no energy or direction except for the energy and direction that you give to it in the present. You can remember the past, but you can never change it. You can dream, think, or plan for the future, but the future does not exist yet, and it may likely contain events, people, or circumstances that you have never seen before. To dwell on the past, good or bad, means to live there. That's what dwelling is. And lose the present. To worry about the future or place your happiness in it means to lose the present. To be present means to look at who you are and your surroundings and see everything as the only reality that exists. To be living fully in this moment, right now. Now, right now, at this point, likely isn't perfect. It may not be anywhere near perfect, but that's all there is. In letter number 2, write a letter to yourself of acknowledgement and appreciation. As if you're going to have amnesia tomorrow, write down all the good that's in your life right now. The efforts and achievements you worked hard for that resulted in good things that you have in your life today. The people who you love and your pets. Good things in your neighborhood. Good friends. Your favorite dish. Write a letter to yourself telling you all about your present life. And then you can write, you can write it here, or you can write, if you want to write a longer letter, write a lot longer letter. Oh, I actually do have, I have a couple more pages that you can write in. I wrote this in 2022, so a little rusty on all the details. There you go. That's the How to Love Yourself workbook. And these are available, all the books are available in my shop, and I will sign them to you. I'll actually write a little page in the dedication section just to you. And if you want to get them faster, or if you are in a country outside of the US, then they are available on the Barnes & Noble. They're available on some different sites that I don't know their names, but they're local to different countries, or they're available on all the Amazons as well. So you can get them. And next, you can look them up by, if you Google my name, then it should be, I'll put it in the description. So if you search my name, I said Google, but if you go to any site where you buy books and search my name, then you should be able to find them. Let's see here. I just opened, this is the happiness, I just closed it now. This is the Happiness in Your Life Answers Within guidebook. So I decided to make a book. I told you there's 12 books in the series, and only 5 are available right now. So I made this, I don't think all 5 were available yet when I made this, but I made this book with some quotes and passages from all 12 of the books. The ones that are available now, it's kind of like a preview. Or if you're not a person who would ever want to read 12 books, then it's kind of like the whole thing. So it's got quotes and passages from all 12 of the books, and you don't read it cover to cover. You read it, you just flip to a page, or you think of a number between 1 and 301, and like that's your message of the day. So I'm just going to flip to 1, and I opened it to page 201, which is faith. I'm going to read that for you. This is your message for today. It's hard sometimes to not be afraid, but it's much harder to always live in fear. Faith means to believe something is true, sometimes without any proof at all. Have faith in yourself, and the proof will follow. There you are. That's the Happiness in Your Life Answers Within guidebook. 301 unique messages. And you can flip to a page. It's almost like one of those card decks, the Oracle cards. I was going to do a card deck, but that you can't shuffle 300. And I wanted to have a bunch of messages, almost one a year. So that's why I made it longer. Let me give you one more message from this. This is from Appreciation. Your journey and all the characters in your story helped to mold and shape you. They brought out parts of you that you didn't know you had. Even the bad ones, right? There you are. Answers Within Guidebook, the How to Love Yourself workbook, Improve Your Life in 80 Days, and the Happiness in Your Life series books, Appreciation, Trust, Forgiveness, Intuition, and Karma are all available. And I would love for you to read them. And if you're a big reader, read them all. If not, if anything stands out to you, just read that book. And if you do get them on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, I would love for you to leave a review of your thoughts. And what else? I do have a newsletter. I'm going to put a big description in this video after the live. I do have a newsletter. If you sign up for the newsletter, then you are going to receive a link to a free download PDF of a one chapter ebook called Wake Up and Be Awesome. It's kind of like a pep talk if you're going through a bunch of junk and you just need a little motivation. So that's a free gift for you for signing up for the newsletter. It's got links also to, I have an e-course called 12-Day Transformation, and to my shop and the books, and there's all kinds of stuff in the links. So make sure to check out the description if you're interested in my work. I want to thank you so much for being here. Whether you caught the live or whether you're watching this on a replay, I appreciate you so much for being here and being a part of my life. If this is the first time we've ever met, I'm so glad to meet you. And if you've been following my work for a while, could be up to 14 years, then I'm so grateful that you've been with me through my life journey, even though we've not met in person. So wherever you are in the world, I hope you are having a wonderful day and that you are safe, healthy, happy, and loved. Until the next time we see each other, I hope that remains. Bye.